You're in an important meeting. Someone says something you don't fully understand, and instead of asking, you just nod along and hope for the best. Sound familiar?
Oh, we have all been there. Welcome to Say It in English, the podcast that helps you build real, natural business English skills, one conversation at a time.
I'm Tom.
And I'm Lexi. And if you are new here, hi, welcome. We're so glad you found us. We talk about the kind of English you actually need at work, the phrases, the situations, all the things nobody teaches you in a textbook.
And today's episode is a big one. We're talking about how to ask for clarification. Basically, how to say, I don't understand, in a way that sounds polite, professional, and completely natural.
Because there is a real art to this, and so many learners either go completely silent, which honestly we totally understand, or they say something that accidentally comes across as a little blunt.
And neither of those is ideal, right? So we are going to fix that today. Okay, so Lexi, let's talk about Sam.
Oh, Sam, yes. Tell them about Sam.
So Sam is someone we made up. A fictional English learner, intermediate level, working hard, doing really well, and he just started a new job. A few weeks in, he's on a video call with his whole team.
One of those big group video calls where everyone has their camera on and you feel like people are watching you even when they're not.
Exactly. So Sam's manager is explaining the plan for a new project. And Lexi, do you want to be the manager for a second?
Oh, I love being the manager. Okay, ready? So, Sam, what we need to do is align the deliverables with the key stakeholders before we loop in the wider team and move to the next phase of the rollout.
Okay, so if you were Sam right now, and English is not your first language, and someone just said that to you on a video call,
Yeah, that is a lot of words happening very fast.
that is a lot of words, and some of them, deliverables, stakeholders, loop in, rollout, these are super common in business English. But if you have never heard them before, or you have heard them but not all at once in one sentence,
You are just sitting there smiling and nodding and internally going, What? What is happening? What does any of this mean?
exactly. And here's what Sam actually does. He says nothing. He types, okay, thanks, in the chat and moves on.
Oh no, Sam. We love you, but oh no.
And then later, of course, he realizes he actually doesn't know what he's supposed to do. And now he has to go back and ask. And it feels 10 times harder than it would have been in the moment.
Which is the worst feeling, because now there is extra pressure. Like, why didn't you ask before? And you start worrying about what people will think.
Yes. So the lesson is, ask in the moment. It is always, always better to ask right away. But, and this is the key thing, how you ask really matters, because the right phrasing makes you sound professional and engaged.
Right. And the wrong phrasing, or just blurting out, what does that mean, isn't terrible, but in a professional setting, it can feel a little abrupt, a little like you're challenging someone even when you're absolutely not.
Totally. So what we have for you today are 5 phrases, 5 options Sam could have used. And we are going from the really safe and gentle ones all the way up to the more confident ones.
And the wonderful thing is, all 5 of these are completely natural. Native English speakers use every single one of these regularly. You will not sound strange or out of place. You will just sound like someone who is on top of things.
This is your safest, most gentle option. If you are nervous, if you are new to the team, if your heart is beating a little fast, this is the one to reach for first.
And it is simply, sorry, could you say that again, please? That's it. Short, polite, simple. Done.
The word sorry at the beginning softens everything. It signals to the other person immediately that you are not challenging them, you are not being rude, you just need a moment.
And it is so common. People ask for things to be repeated all the time, even native speakers, even very experienced professionals.
Oh, absolutely. I say, sorry, could you say that again? Like multiple times a day, especially on calls where the audio isn't perfect or someone is talking really fast.
Same. And here is something really nice about this phrase. It doesn't actually show how confused you are. You were just asking for a repeat. Maybe you missed one word. Maybe you missed everything. Nobody knows. It is very neutral.
Low risk, high reward. And there are small variations too. Sorry, could you repeat that? Is exactly the same energy. So Sam had options. Very easy options.
Very easy. Okay, phrase number 2. This one is a little more specific. It tells the other person, hey, I heard you. I just need a bit more detail.
I'm not sure I followed that. Could you explain a bit more?
Ooh, I love I'm not sure I followed that. Because I didn't follow is such a natural, casual way to say I didn't fully understand. And it doesn't sound like you're saying their explanation was bad. It sounds like, hey, I might have missed something. Help me out.
Exactly, and this is so important in professional communication. You are putting the focus on yourself, not on the other person. You are taking ownership of the confusion, even if the explanation was genuinely very complicated.
Right. Even if it was confusing for literally everyone in the room, and you are not alone, you still say, I'm not sure I followed, because it's polite and it sounds professional.
And could you explain a bit more? That phrase, a bit more, is doing so much work. It makes the request feel small and easy, like no big deal, just a tiny extra explanation, not starting from zero.
Yes, a bit more is brilliant. It's gentle, it doesn't make it sound like you're completely lost, and honestly, it probably makes the other person feel comfortable giving you more detail without feeling like they have to start the whole thing over.
Totally. So Sam could have said, I'm not sure I followed that. Could you explain a bit more? And it would have landed perfectly. Really well, actually.
Really well, and it probably would have made the manager think, oh great, Sam is paying attention and wants to get this right. That's a good look.
100%. All right, phrase number 3. Now this one is a little more advanced, but it is honestly one of my favorites. This is what we call the paraphrase check.
Ooh, yes. Okay, so paraphrase means to repeat something back in your own words. And the idea here is instead of just saying you don't understand, you actually try to repeat back what you think you heard and then check if you got it right.
Right. And the phrase is, just to make sure I understand, you're saying that, and then you fill in what you think the person said.
So for Sam's situation, he might have said, just to make sure I understand, you're saying we need to talk to the main stakeholders before we tell the rest of the team? Which is basically what the manager said, but in much simpler words.
Exactly. And this is brilliant for 2 big reasons. 1, it shows the other person that you were listening and genuinely trying to understand. You engaged with what they said. And 2, if you got it wrong, the other person will correct you, which means you get the clearer explanation you needed anyway. You cannot lose with this one.
You literally cannot lose. You either confirm you understood correctly, great, or you get a better explanation, also great. It's a win either way. And just to make sure I understand, that opener is so humble and polite. It signals total good faith.
And it makes you look really engaged and sharp, like you are not just sitting there passively, you are actively processing information. That is a great professional impression to make.
Love it. Phrase number 3, highly recommended. Okay, phrase number 4. This one is perfect for when something sounds abstract. Like the words make sense individually, but you're not sure what it looks like in real life.
Right, yeah, like you kind of get the concept, but you need to see it in action.
Exactly. And the phrase is, could you give me an example of what you mean?
So simple, so effective. And the reason this works is you are not saying your explanation was confusing. You are saying, I'd love to see how this looks in practice. That's a completely different message.
Totally. And honestly, asking for an example helps everyone in the conversation, not just you. Sometimes people give abstract explanations and don't even realize it until someone asks for a concrete example. And then they go, oh, right, I should have just said that from the start.
Yes, that happens all the time. And you can add a little polite opener to make it feel even smoother. Something like, "That's helpful. Could you also give me an example of what you mean?" The "that's helpful" at the start shows appreciation before you ask for more.
Ooh, that is smooth. Very smooth. It acknowledges what they said before you ask your question. That little touch makes a big difference.
It really does. Okay, are we ready for the final one? Phrase number 5, the confident one.
Let's do it. Okay, so phrase 5 is a variation on phrase 3, the paraphrase check. But the energy is different. It's more assertive, more confident, like you belong in that room and you know it.
Right, and it goes, "So if I'm understanding correctly," and then you state what you think was said.
So the difference between this and phrase 3 is phrase 3 ends with a clear question mark, right? You are openly checking very humbly. But so if I'm understanding correctly, you still check, but you sound more sure of yourself going into it.
It's a subtle shift in tone, but it matters. It sounds like a professional contributing to a conversation, not someone who got lost. And in a lot of workplaces, especially as you get more senior or more comfortable, this is the kind of language you will hear everywhere.
Mm-hmm. So Sam could have said, so if I'm understanding correctly, we need to get sign-off from the key stakeholders before we share this with the wider team. And that sounds fantastic. That sounds like someone who is sharp and switched on.
It really does. It sounds like Sam is right where he should be. And the beautiful thing is, Sam's English doesn't have to be perfect. The phrase does a lot of the heavy lifting for him.
That is such a good point. The right phrase can give you confidence even when you're still building your skills. You do not have to be fluent to sound professional. You just need the right tools.
Exactly. And one thing I want to make clear, you do not have to start at phrase 5. You can start at phrase 1 and work your way up over time as you get more comfortable. These are not rules, they're options.
Yes, use what feels right for you in the moment. In a big formal meeting with senior people you don't know yet, maybe phrase 1 or 2. In a smaller team meeting where you feel more comfortable, maybe phrase 4 or 5. Read the room.
And the more you practice, the more natural all of them feel. That is just how it works. And I think the big takeaway from today, the thing we really want you to hold on to, is this. Asking for clarification is not a sign that you are bad at English. It is not a sign that you are bad at your job. It is actually the opposite.
Yes, it shows you care. It shows you are paying attention. It shows you want to get things right. That is exactly what a good team member does, in any language.
The people who never ask questions are often the ones who make the most mistakes later because they were missing important information the whole time and just didn't say anything.
Right. Asking is smart. Asking is professional. I want every listener to hear that clearly. Asking for clarification is a professional skill. Full stop.
Lexi, say it louder.
Asking for clarification is a professional skill. There we go. Ha.
And just to quickly recap the 5 phrases we talked about today. 1, sorry, could you say that again, please? 2, I'm not sure I followed that. Could you explain a bit more? 3, just to make sure I understand, you're saying that. 4, could you give me an example of what you mean? And 5, so if I'm understanding correctly.
5 phrases. Ultra safe to confident. All of them natural, all of them professional, and all of them so much better than silently nodding along and hoping for the best. Sorry, Sam.
Poor Sam. We believe in you, Sam. And we believe in all of you listening right now. Think about your own Sam moment, because I am sure most of you have had one. And now you know exactly what to reach for next time.
You've got 5 great tools now. Use them.
All right, before we say goodbye, we have a question for you. Have you ever just nodded along in a meeting, completely lost, hoping nobody would notice? Drop your answer in the comments. We would genuinely love to hear your stories.
And if this episode helped you, please subscribe and hit the bell so you never miss a new episode of Say It in English. We put out new episodes every week, and every single one is designed to help you sound more natural and confident at work.
Next week, we are talking about small talk at work, what to say before the meeting starts. It is going to be a really fun one.
And remember, every conversation you have in English, even the hard ones, even the confusing ones, is making you better. Keep going. You are doing great.
We will see you next time. Bye.
Bye.